Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Tim. We are going to talk about Ash vs. Evil Dead, Season 3, Episode 9. It's called Judgment Day, and full spoilers for the episode as always. Also, very on-point title this week, given the news that came out. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Tim, if you're being watched around the clock to make sure you don't do any harm to yourself,
Oh
but
yeah.
this week STARZ did decide to cancel Ash vs. Evil
Mhm.
Dead. So this episode and then the next
You,
episode are the last two episodes. We're done.
yeah. Just for clarification, stars the channel, not the stars of the show.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. The STARZ, the channel, decided to cancel the show.
Mhm.
And I'm sure they've already received numerous threats from Tim from the last couple of days. Fast tracked that mail.
Well,
Maybe sent a few of those electronic mails that the kids are all using these days.
what oh, what I don't get is like, how do you get canceled by uh like a paid subscription service type channel? Like, does it really matter? Because it's not like you have like advertising or whatever. It's not like NBC where they're looking at ratings and being like, oh, no one's watching this. Like,
Well, they still look at ratings though, because they look at, is this bringing people in? Are people buying subscriptions to watch this show? So if no one's watching it and therefore no one's buying subscriptions to their package to watch the show, it's not making them money. So no, ratings and cancellations are still a thing.
I don't get that because I I watch like every episode 50 times, so
Yes,
it
but
can't be that
you're only
bad.
paying for one subscription, Timmy.
That's true. That's true.
They actually don't care if you watch it 100 million times. If you paid for it 100 million times, they would be all on board with you, Tim. They'd be like, yes, yes, yes. We'll keep funding the show just for Tim because he pays for it himself.
That's a good point. But I did think like I assumed it's not like the biggest rated show or whatever, but I don't know. I felt like I saw a lot of people talking about it, at least like in horror circles. It felt like, oh, I'm sure this is probably like a cult hit at least, which you'd think like would be
Yeah,
enough. But
I think that's just maybe a sign that the horror circles aren't big enough on their own to sustain a TV show. At least not.
yeah.
At least in this case, where I imagine maybe a lot of people waited for like the home release or later on
Well,
or
yeah, that's the other thing I was wondering too. Like it finally, well, not finally, but I think like maybe like a couple of months ago, they put the first two seasons on Netflix, and I think I saw a lot of people start watching it then. So I
mm,
wonder if it's the kind of thing like, a lot of people are like, I'm not getting stars, but then as soon as it's up on somewhere else, they're like, oh, okay, and stars is like, oh, why are we doing this if no one's even gonna watch it on our channel or whatever?
yeah, yeah. So
Um,
uh,
what's what's kind of funny about it is I think like when the first season came out, I was like, there's no way this is gonna last. But then when they did like a second season, I was like, oh, like okay, they know that this is like a cult thing, so yeah, they're just gonna keep doing it. So then like I was like nervous at first, but then after I kind of got cocky and was like, oh yeah, we'll probably have this for a good while, like at least 5, 6 seasons. Uh,
yeah. Well, I think it shows that it was above the line a little bit, and then it started to dip, and it's just this is it's falling. I think
yeah.
the fact that season 3, I feel like got less advertising. I almost think that even
Mhm.
though they didn't announce it till now, I think they might have even decided before this aired this season. Because
I mean, push.
it felt like the
Yeah.
advertising was way less than season 1 and 2. It felt like they'd already just thought, oh,
Mhm.
we've already made the season, so we'll put it out there. But
Also, yeah, the pushing it back, I doubt helped because it seemed
uh,
like such like a perfect, great, like, oh, watching around Halloween, like, oh well. I mean, on the one hand though, like, what 10 years ago, I would never even have dreamed that we would have had any more, you know, mythology in this universe. So, I mean, the fact that we got 3 seasons,
oh
I
yeah,
definitely can't complain about that.
for about 25 years there was like, oh, maybe we'll get a fourth someday. We got like a reboot
Yeah,
movie, which actually ended up being really good, and
that's true.
arguably,
Yeah. hmm
arguably, depending on your taste, might be even be better than one or two of the originals. Um,
Jesus Christ.
So, but no, it's a really good. It's a really good movie. But I was like, okay, then they're doing this TV show. It's going to be in continuity with the original series, and
Mhm.
we got 3 seasons. That's essentially like it's way more screen time than the original movies even
Yeah.
had. So, and I suppose the upside here as well is that seasons 1 and 2 both kind of had very kind of rounded off endings, as if maybe they wouldn't
Mhm.
come back. So I think this season will probably have the same thing. I don't, of course,
Yeah.
now that I've said that, watch it end in a cliffhanger that will never get resolved.
Um,
But so
And
Yeah.
then the last thing I'll say about it, which I haven't really seen anyone talk about this yet, but I'm assuming we probably will because this happens every time a beloved TV show gets canceled.
Mm.
But I do wonder if there's going to be any rumors about someone else picking it up. Like, who knows if the a lot of people are watching on Netflix, if they'll be like, oh hey, maybe we'll do it or something. I haven't heard anything yet, but I feel like there's always those rumblings once something like this happens.
I'm, I don't think there will be in this case. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
could be wrong, but again, because it tends to end very kind of rounded off, I don't think there's going to be
Mm-hmm.
this
Big
hankering to like
demand.
yeah
Yeah.
to get it picked up because I'm not even that upset. I mean, obviously I'd like more of it, and I like the show a lot, but I'm not
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
that. This is not like if they cancelled, I don't know, like Mr. Robot after like the end of season one, I'd have been like, no, I need more. Like set up all this stuff. Where's it going?
Yeah.
And because that feels like it's got because with shows like that, with shows like Mr. Robot, Westworld,
Mhm.
it feels like no, they've got like an overall thing that this is a 5 year plan and it's going to have this. This is where we're going to be at the end of season two, the end of season three, and it's all going to tell us one big grand story we've kind of roughly had mapped out since day one. I don't get that with Ash vs Evil Dead. Right? Ash vs Evil Dead, I feel like they come in at the start of the season, and go, okay, what's the story of this season, and then they come up with a
Mhm.
story and it ends at the end of the season, and then next season they come in with a new story.
Mhm.
So
And that's why it's much better than all those shows.
I, I do not agree with that statement. I like the long game myself when it's done well.
Oh, when it's done well. Okay. All right. That's good.
The two examples I just gave so far, admittedly, Westworld is just all about to start season two, so I mean we're not very far into the long game in that one, unless you count the wait for season two, which was a long game in and of itself. Because
Mm.
TV shows now don't like cable and premium like streaming service shows. They're starting to get to a point now where none of them actually hit a year after the previous season. They never come back at the same
Mhm.
time now. There's always like 14 to 16 months between seasons.
Mhm.
Or in the case of Westworld, it was a full year and a half. So the Dark Ones came out of the Rift. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
We actually had the Dark Ones showing up. They were going around town, and big stuff happens. First thing I want to talk about though is the fact that Ruby actually, it's not Ruby. So I'm thinking, I'm thinking of like I've got like Rubies and like 3 other TV shows right now. It's really confusing. Brandy actually has like her own little Evil Dead 2 kind of
Yeah.
scene.
Ooh.
Because she's left behind at the house. Ash is like, I'm going to go
Mhm.
and get Kelly's body because they kind of realised, oh, we need Kelly's body for her to come back
Mhm.
and deal with Ruby. And and Pablo goes out looking to get the rift and whatnot, and that's when the Dark Ones come out. But Brandy's on her own, and basically creepy stuff starts happening, and we get this very, again, Evil Dead-esque thing where her phone turns into a little mini Book of the Dead with arms and legs, and it talks, and it's like her mother's voice taunting her.
Mhm.
And she ends up in the shed, and it's full on. She actually gets her thumb cut off, which I laughed because I was like, oh, that's like a mini version of Ash getting his hand cut off. In fact, at one point, it turned out to be a hallucination, but it looked like she was actually going to have to cut off her whole hand. So I thought, oh man, that's really on the nose. But, no, this was like classic Evil Dead thing. It felt like Brandy was kind of becoming Ash's daughter in this scene.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole sequence was really, really great. Yeah, it felt like it was just kind of checking off like all the hits from like Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and stuff. And but it all felt really well done and entertaining. And yeah, you can actually. I feel like this is the first time I really start to see like how like Brandy can kind of fit like this
Oh
mold
yeah,
of like
because
being Ash's daughter.
up until now, she's like obviously she's been streaming a lot. She didn't accept who he was at
Mhm.
first. Thought this was all real. She's kind of been slowly accepting that, and then this is the first time though where she actually gets angry and fights back
Yeah.
and actually starts going after. She uses the wood chipper, not wood chipper, the
Snowplow,
snowplow.
I think. Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, say it to the plow," and she gets
Yeah.
covered in blood again. It's actually becoming a running joke that she gets drenched in blood like every episode. But like, it's like no, she fought back. This was like a proper Ash kind of
Yeah.
scene. So
And there,
you know,
and there's like even like a scene where like she starts like getting this like deranged laughter, which is like very reminiscent of Evil Dead 2 when Ash just starts like cracking up,
yeah,
like she's like losing it.
everything in that shed was like classic Evil Dead. And it was kind of it was kind of creepy in places, but obviously funny when the little phone with the legs started
Yeah.
running around. All of that was proper full on Evil Dead stuff.
I was really surprised that I was watching the behind the scenes thing, and they actually had a little cell phone puppet that they were using, which I thought it looked like all completely CGI.
Yeah, as did I. I did. Oh, every time I seen it, it looked like CGI to me. So
Yeah.
maybe they ended up not using any of the footage of the puppet.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, they must have like just done like a heavy dose of CGI over it or something. Because yeah, there's nothing about that looks practical.
Yeah.
And if I had one complaint, that was maybe it. It's like I kind of wasn't crazy about the design of the phone. I love the idea. Like I love when it
Mm.
like does bite her and everything. Like that looked really cool. But yeah, once it has like this kind of big, goofy, cartoony eye and legs and stuff, it just didn't really hit me that well.
Elsewhere, so early on in the episode, basically Pablo gets all this information because he starts to see through the eyes of the book. So he sees
Right.
Ruby and he sees whoever Kelly's turned into, and he's got all this going. And we have the open as well where evil person and Kelly actually gouges out the eyes of the women from the Knights of Samaria.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
Zoe.
they are all like just cannon fodder this season. They have all just died horribly in some way or another. But yeah, so she gets her eyes gouged out, but he sees all this, and I laughed really hard because later on, when Ash is on his way back, he literally just picks up the book because he gets the Necronomicon back, and he just uses it as a walkie-talkie. He's like, "Hey, Pablo, you reading me? You coming in? Coming in? Over, Pablo."
That's kind of funny. It is too bad that I feel like maybe they could have done something more with the knights. Like either maybe they could have been more badass and like had some cool fight scenes, or maybe it could have been funny if you like really like played up the incompetence and just like because they are always dying and stuff. So like
Yeah, that's the thing.
maybe
I think it
have
doesn't go
more of a
far
joke.
enough with it. I think if they really played up the incompetence and they were
Yeah.
awful at everything, that would make it really funny and a running gag. I think as it is, it just kind of feels like they're poorly written. Like they're written to be they're these heroes that go out and help, but they're actually just all useless.
Yeah.
So
That actually would have been really funny if it's like, oh, of course, like the people that admire and like worship Ash are just like these loser, like incompetent people that can't do anything.
yeah, it would actually be kind of fitting for the show. And it's funny. I think I'm criticizing that a little bit because that's been a running thing all season. I actually think this may be the best episode of the season, though. I actually think I was really
Oh,
into
this
this.
like, yeah, it's really bittersweet that like, yeah, this comes on the news of the series getting canceled, but at the same time, it's like, wow, like this, like really, like blew me away. Like I feel like the other episodes were all really good and fun, but they felt like just kind of like stuff that's like setting up and whatnot. And then this felt like a really good culmination of everything.
It definitely sagged in the middle because I think the first few were really funny. They were really fun, good episodes like that. And then the middle few, it felt like they were dragging a little bit because we complained, That's a Wonderful Life thing with the dad and
Oh yeah.
some of the other stuff they were setting up. I just kind of felt like it was setting up things, but not necessarily being super invigorating as it was doing it. And I think this episode it really went full blown. The Brandy stuff, like her getting her own Evil Dead kind of sequence. The Dark Ones are actually kind of have a good presence. When they came out and they don't kill Pablo because they kind of like Pablo's kind of disguised as one of them to them because of his connection to the book. The fact that they cut out a square of flesh of Zoe's back to actually make a new page for the book. Because obviously she's mentioned in the past that she wrote it, but this is like how you write it. You take a page of flesh and you write it in blood and then you put it in the book. But
that was that whole all that stuff was great with cutting the flesh and then like draining her blood, and it was a very very bloody episode.
yeah, and then of course we have not Brad. Sorry, I did the opposite this time. Ruby actually dies this episode, seemingly.
Yeah.
So I will say this: if there's one through line that's happened all through all three seasons that makes sense to like kind of wrap up before the show finally ends, it's the fact that Ruby kept coming back. So if she's truly dead, that's a nice fitting ending to actually have her finally be dealt with. Because the Dark Ones just suck her soul out. They also take the other one's soul out of Kelly. So that's how Ash gets Kelly's body back. So he's like dragging her body out, and his poor chainsaw gets crushed.
Oh yeah.
Ruby's like really been nasty about it. She crushes the base of it, and then she's like the blade. She's like, oh, and she's just like bends it. It's very phallic. It's very sort of snapping of the penis kind of imagery. It's just got going there.
Ash is so great in this scene too because he's acting like she was destroying his real hand or something because he's like in such like pain and stuff. And I thought that was really funny.
He's real more like his daughter. I feel like if this was like the chainsaw and Randy, he'd be reacting more to the chainsaw than her in the scene. That's what it felt like. He was like, "No, not my chainsaw. You'll pay for this, Ruby."
I thought it was funny when when like Ruby's dying, like Ash is just kind of watching and he's like, like good, like.
Oh yeah, he said something like, oh, I can't remember the start of it, but it was something like "F you, bitch" at the end. As he's laughing,
like
he leaves the scene. It was just kind of funny. But
which like I feel like you like almost never see like a hero do that. Like even when it's like a villain that's dying, like they'll still like be a little somber or something. I love Ash just like yeah. If I do have maybe like one small complaint is it did feel like kind of for how much of a presence like Ruby's been throughout the whole show. It does feel like that was kind of fast. Like it didn't seem like she really put up like much of a fight. And before we saw that like they had this plan, they're gonna rewrite their destiny, they were saying and stuff. And it did feel like they just came and killed her pretty quickly. Not that I'm like complaining
I'm okay,
or anything, but just...
I'm okay with them killing her quickly because it sets them up as this really like dangerous threat where they're this badass, they're this powerful and evil. I do agree though that there was maybe a lack of build to it, so that it felt like a big like. But I think it works well enough. But I agree that maybe there should be a bit more build. It was actually really surprising when it happened because it was like, oh, okay, Ruby's just dead.
Yeah. And it just seems like someone like Ruby is like, always has like a backup plan or something that, I would have thought that like,
hey, maybe she does.
Did
maybe,
you not know?
maybe like she'll have subverted her expectations. Maybe she'll be in the finale, and we'll see more of her, and we'll see that she had something else up her sleeve. Who knows? Everyone ends up in town, and the Dark Ones are there. They're throwing, Ash around. It's the whole thing's going haywire, and our big cliffhanger ending is that they open like a portal to basically hell in the street, and
the Hellmouth.
This, yes, much like the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Very good, Tim. That said, the hand that comes out of it reminds me a little bit more of Cabin in the Woods.
In the Woods,
yeah, a little bit.
That too.
It's just this giant hand this demonic hand comes out and crushes a car, and it just ends with Ash going, "Oh shit," and that's the end of the episode. So how Ash and Co are going to deal with this? Like, because at first I thought this was just the whole thing coming out, because at first it's like through the thick smoke, so you can't really like see what it is. But it's like, okay, it's really tall. This is just this big monster that's like 50 foot tall, and then it slams down, and you realize that's just the arm. You're like, crap, how big is this thing? So. Yeah,
and I think it's like worth mentioning too that like the whole town is like basically going like crazy at this point. Like there's just like a big like invasion. You are constantly seeing people running around, and we get like a quick scene at a bar where you just show like the bartenders.
It seems like a certain percentage of the population are starting to turn into deadites. Basically, is what's happening. Because at one point Ash is driving and he keeps like. It's like deadites are just throwing themselves at the hood of the car, so there's just like splats of blood. He's like, "What is that, a deadite? What's going on? There's deadites everywhere." It's happening. Oh, that reminds me actually, the really disgusting scene where it's a nice like heart to heart. Like Ash is leaving to go kill Ruby. He's left his boomstick with Bran. He's like, "This is my boomstick. It's got me out of a jam." And then she goes to hug him as he leaves, and she throws up on his shoulder, and it's just it's this phlegmy yellow gunk. And and he touches it as well, and he's like, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine. I'll be back later." Oh,
what drives me crazy about that stuff, and this always I don't know, irks me when I see it in like movies or TV. When it's like, if that happens, fine, but at least have the character go like, "I'm gonna go wash this off," or grab a paper towel. Like instead, he just like leaves like. To go driving, and I don't know, maybe he wipes it off with something in the car, but
he touches it with his hand. That's what really bugs me.
I don't care what you're doing, you need to go wash your hands right now.
It's madness. Like, you don't touch it with your hand. You go and get something to wipe it with, so you never have to physically make contact with it. That's how you do it. But I mean, it is Evil Dead, and it's full of disgusting stuff. So after the sperm bank stuff, I think Ash is he's immune to this.
That's true. I'm kind of surprised we didn't get like a little. At least just like a quick little minute or two scene of like Kelly still in the rift, because we assume she's still there, obviously, but don't really have any update. Although I wonder if maybe part of the next episode is going to be like if the rift's open, maybe she can just kind of come out.
Maybe. we got enough of evil, in Kelly's body, so I think.
Yeah.
I guess they figured we just don't have to do necessarily go see her because we know she's in there, we know she's fine.
Mhm.
If anything, what I would have maybe expected is when the dark ones were coming out, maybe just see it from her perspective, where she's like hiding behind something over there, and you just see them
Yeah.
walking through or something like that. I don't know. But hey, no, that's a solid episode. I think this is my favorite episode of the season so far. Again, it's bittersweet because it gets really good just after it's been announced it's been
Yeah.
cancelled. But
Yeah, I mean, I think like story wise, it's probably like the best so far. It's kind of hard to compare it to some of the like earlier episodes that are more like it doesn't feel as story heavy, but it's more just kind of fun.
yeah, it's
Set
Ash falling out
scenes
of
and
a
stuff.
coffin at a funeral. It's sperm bank stickiness, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this was like really good. I was on the edge of my seat while watching this. I'm really really excited to see what the end of the season's going to be. And I feel like this is kind of the first time where like the other seasons, like they've all been really good and everything, but like it's been Ash fighting demons, Ash fighting deadites, going back to the cabin, all awesome fun stuff, but stuff we've seen before. Like this time I'm really interested, like how is Ash gonna fight like a giant demon?
It's a good question. We'll find out next week in the season and series finale of Ash vs. Evil
Oof.
Dead. So let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. There's a link in the description. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?